Mel Quickmiller here in Indiana, Harrison County, Indiana, where she is the Assistant Superintendent for the Harrison County Highway Department. She'll be talking about their bridge preservation program.
I am so happy. First of all, I have to say thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm very, very excited to be here, and I can't wait to kind of show you what we have done as a local agency. I have to say that Travis stole a lot of my thunder, so maybe it'll be a repeat, but again, maybe if it's a repeat, that way we'll kind of get the point, right? I want to go and talk to you a little bit today about what we at Harrison County have done as far as a bridge preservation program. Now, the first thing that I can tell you is that one of the things for us is that I don't know about any of the other locals, but a lot of times for us, you know, we don't like that word change. Sometimes I think that's more of a four-letter word than the letters that it actually has. We've always done it that way, so that's the way that we should always do it. Well, guess what happened to us? I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and about how I came to be in this position. So in 2018, I was the engineering technician and I got promoted to the assistant superintendent, and I was over the sign crew, which we have over 5,000 signs in our county. I was over the brush crew. I don't own a chainsaw, just so that you know. And then I got to become over the bridge crew as well. And I am just like, oh, okay, I've got all of these departments, these organizations, these things that I need to do and I need to learn, but I don't know nothing about no stinking bridges. And I remember saying that. So what do I do? Where do I go? How do I find resources? Which is exactly what Travis was talking to us about how do we find those resources? And as you can tell, I'm not an engineer. I grew up through the ranks. I'm more of a communications and HR type person. Through fate, whatever you want to call it, I wound up at a county municipality and worked my way up into this position. Well, there is a saving grace for me. And for me, it was our lovely LTAP, our Indiana LTAP. And I have to give Pat a lot of credit, and I have to give LTAP a lot of credit here. They actually took me under their wing, if you will, and they kind of tried to show me the ropes. And one of the great things that Pat did for me as trying to show me the ropes is he actually invited me to this lovely thing down in Florida. Florida was the actual ploy for me. Hey, you want to go to Florida and learn about bridge preservation? Sign me up, Pat. I'm there. So for me, I got to go to this TSP2 National Bridge Preservation Conference. And one of the things that I loved about this conference is I'm very much a visual learner. I'm very much a hands-on person. And as you can see, you'll just look at some of the slides that we had. There was a day where we did nothing but demonstrations. And for any of you that have been to that program, you know how valuable that can be for you. The things that you get to experience, the things that you get to see. Another thing that Travis talked about was that you could see that these things, they didn't take a lot of hands-on. They didn't take a full crew for you to actually do. You could do this with a very small crew. For us, we have 2 people in our crew. So that was a real important factor for me. What are these things that we can do out in the field, and how can we take care of these without actually hiring a contractor? And is it so many steps or so much technology or so many products involved that we can't handle that? And some of the things that I learned from that conference were that there were things that my 2 crewmen could do. And that made me very happy. So I brought some of that stuff back. So I was very appreciative to go to that conference and learn some of the things that I had actually learned. Another thing that actually helped me was I was also and had been involved in some of our programs that are given by LTAP. We just finished not too long ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, I believe is correct. We actually had our bridge conference. We had to have it virtual, but we did have our conference this year. Last year, I actually got to present at our conference. And then in 2018, I went to the conference at Purdue University. And one of the things that we did was we went on site and we went to the Esbright Center, and we got to look at some of the old bridges and look at what went wrong, what might have failed, some of the testing that they've done on those things. And again, that's just soaking up that information and learning, because really, to begin, you just have to begin. But that's easy for other people to say. You know, that's easy for somebody else to say. I didn't really know what to do or how to do it. So I am a talker. So I said, can we talk? And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the components of the bridge structure. I wanted to learn about the bridge, and I wanted to learn about the structure. So you have to start somewhere. So some of the things that I had to do was go out and look at a deck. I had to go out and look at the wing walls, the approaches, the handrail, some of those simple things that some people don't always think about or don't always consider. I actually had to go out and look at some of those things and try to familiarize myself with some of that stuff, and was very successful, I might say. We learned a lot. I also had to learn about the resources that were available to me. Not only LTAP is a resource, and they are more than willing to help you. And if you are not using your LTAP in your state, reach out to them. I am sure that they would be willing to help you. But we also have this lovely thing, and I have it right here in my office, is you know, that lovely bridge inspection report. And I know that most of us, we have those bridge inspection reports, but it's a huge, thick book, and sometimes it's a huge, thick book of what we might think is nothing. There is some valuable information in that book, and the contractors, the vendors that help you put that book together, and for us, for this project, it was American Structure Point. My latest, yeah, I've even had my latest bridge vendors, contractors, is United Consulting. They've been great with me. I ask them all kinds of questions all day long. From this report, and this is not the current one, obviously, this is the previous one, but that's when I started, I created what I call the list. Now, the list is a 4-letter word. It was actually about 284 items. And as you can see, I'm a color-coded kind of person. So I actually had color-coded some of the problems and the issues and the concerns or the repairs that were needed, or how they were listed. And I just couldn't believe that we had 284 items. I was dumbfounded with that. But I'm also, when I create a list, I want to check that list off. I want to be able to check it off, and I want to be able to say, okay, I'm done with this. So that's exactly where I started. I started with some of those basics. And this is also what Travis was talking about. Deck cleaning, sweeping, washing, seals and joints, the vegetation. Is there grass? Is there brush? Is there bridges? The guardrail, the boats and the posts. Very important things that we don't even think that we look at, but those are things that can actually help us maintain our bridges and maintain the appearance of our bridges. The signage. Do you have weight limits? Do you have object markers? All of those things. Now, these two gentlemen on the outside, those are my bridge crew. And yes, they have approved this picture. The gentleman in the middle, that is one of our lovely vendors. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting Tim at the bridge conference that I got to go to in Florida, the National Bridge Conference. And one of the things that Tim was doing, he did a demonstration. He was talking about silane, and I actually fell in love with this product. Well, he did me one better. I not only fell in love with the product, but he told me, and Pat had set this up as well, is that because we, and when I say we, I mean some of the locals from Indiana, had come down to this conference, that they were going to set up kind of a teach and learn, or a demo teach and learn, for us and for some of our surrounding counties. So Tim actually brought his product out for us, made us pick out a bridge, and showed us how to use it, and then allowed us to use it. And you know, this was very, very, very helpful to us, because sometimes you don't know how to eat an elephant. Well, what's the saying? You eat it one bite at a time. And that's exactly what we started to do, is we started to eat this elephant of bridge preservation, if you will. So as I said before, another wonderful resource that you have is you have your contractors, you have your vendors. They are there for you. Ask them questions. Ask for products. Ask for samples. See if you can watch them work. One of the best ways that I have learned, again, I've said it before, I'm a visual learner. So I like to go out on the job and I like to ask questions of these people that have the knowledge behind them. One of the things that we did, we actually had a complete bridge replacement. This was on Bridge 91 on T Road for us. And our contractor was willing to actually let us go out. We actually got to see the beams being brought in. We got to see the beams being set. We got to ask a lot of questions that day, and I really appreciated that. Another thing that we got to watch is we actually had to do a couple of deck patchings, deck patches, and we did a few of those. And our contractor, again, we were out there, we were watching them jackhammer, watching them cut. Very, very helpful process. Another thing that I got to learn was the contractor, who is an engineer from CNR Construction, he actually let me go out and he let me chain a deck. I don't know if any of you have ever chained a deck before. I know that's a little bit old school, but something that's very valuable. I likened it to, you know, when you hang a picture up and you're looking for that stud, when you're hammering and you're knocking on that wall, when you hit the stud, it makes a different sound. Well, when concrete is delaminating, it makes a different sound, a very obvious different sound. That was a valuable tool for us. There are other tools. There's even more expensive ways to do that. But if you don't have the funds, that's something that you can do in-house. You can take a chain and you can drag a chain across a bridge deck. One of the other things that we were talking about is seal replacement, joint replacement. So here's a couple of pictures of the actual contractor doing this for us. We have actually started doing some of this ourselves this year. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Another thing that we did, here was a complete cutout on one of our joints. So as you can see, we actually had to cut it completely out. We did just some ready mix concrete, and then we poured that back in. That was another thing that we did. So here's the actual demo that I was talking to you about with Tim. So he came down, I believe, in the hottest day for us in Indiana, and we live in southern Indiana, and so it is the Ohio River Valley, which is like pea soup. And I think it was the hottest day of the year, and we decided to spray siling for a bridge deck, which was lots and lots and lots of fun. But I don't know if you can see the picture or not because I have several together, but that blue shirt there, that's actually me doing that. That's me doing that. So if I can do it, I know that anybody can do it. As you can see, we have the barrel of product in the back of a pickup truck. We have a small compressor, and and we're going to town with it. It was an extremely simple process. This is Tom. This is my bridge crew coordinator. He's doing it. There's some gentlemen watching him behind. And this is a picture of me. They like to catch me working when they can. We talked about this a lot, asset management. I believe that Travis had this up. This is from one of our classes that we had taken. And preservation is the act of keeping an object safe from injury, harm, or destruction, or it would involve minimizing the destructive effects of environment and traffic by regular or intermittent timely application of remedial treatments to the components of the highway infrastructure. And that does include your bridges. So when we talk about preservation, we're talking about doing those minimal things to minimize destructive effects of environment, traffic. And we can do those. All of us can do those. You can do that with your smallest crew. Again, I have 2 people. We talk about strategy, and I believe that a part of asset management, and Travis talked about it as well, is you need to have strategy. I totally agree about that. But culture eats strategy for breakfast, and here's why. Because if you don't have a culture of preservation or a mindset of preservation, you'll never begin the strategy in order to have that preservation. And I think that that's very important. So you have to build that culture so that you can continue with that strategy. So for us, one of the things that we wanted to start doing was we wanted to start doing our own bridge inspections, because We have these people that are actually doing this for us, a third party, and they're the experts. We don't want to take away from them, but how do we know what we need if we don't do it ourselves? Here's our current bridge inspection report. Again, this is from United Consulting. They're our current contractor, our current vendor. We're in our second phase, obviously. We began phase 1 in 2018. And this is a picture of Jim, who is my direct contact with me, and our guys going out actually looking at some of the problems on our bridges. As you can see, we got a lot of rust. We got a lot of deterioration on that rocker plate there. And we were concerned about that, and we wanted him to look at that for us and give us his opinion. Again, use your vendors. They're there to help you. That's what you pay them for, quite honestly. So here's some things that we actually, when we're doing bridge inspections, here's some of the things that we've seen. Maybe you've seen some of these things, maybe you haven't. We have a lot of farmers. We have a lot of people that like to attach their fencing to our bridges, to our guardrail. They attach it wherever they can get it, or they like to put their little cattle fence up, and then they cause the drift to be caught, and it causes us a problem as far as the channel and as far as flow is concerned for us and for our bridge. Again, you've seen this picture. This was something that we actually looked at. This is deterioration all the way through. It goes all the way down. So that's something we want to notice. We don't want to just wait for a bridge inspection every 2 years to see that and to see what we need. This was, again, water, the environment, elements, they're not always your friend. Salt, it's not your friend when you're talking about preservation and when you're talking about maintaining a good quality bridge. And so there's some, I don't know if you can see the picture, but there's some damage here in the lower right corner to the guardrail. And of course, there's some deterioration, obviously. So our guys joke around, and they have said that they are the trolls underneath the bridge. And so we always say, yes, Virginia, you will need to become one of the trolls under the bridge. One of the other things that they've noticed, and this is just some more things that they have seen as they have started to become better inspectors. Again, talking about the deterioration of the actual metal on the rocker plates. This is a bridge that we are trying to actually take care of right now. We know that it's a problem. This one we actually have taken care of already. The guys noticed this and they let us know about this. As you can see, there's exposed rebar and there's a crack all the way down on one of the box beams. Some of the things that we have started to do, and these are small things, these are little things, and these little things, they matter. And I would tell you that sometimes the smaller things actually matter more than the large things, because that's what's going to help you keep those good bridges good for a longer period of time. This is our bridge number 112, and I don't know if you can see or not, but it is a truss bridge that we have, and it in the trusses it collects debris, lots and lots of debris. What we have done is we have partnered with United Consulting, because they actually have to have a snooper truck to inspect one of our bridges. And so we asked them if we could have an agreement with them to rent their snooper after they use their snooper, because sometimes those come from states away and we don't always have the ability to get those. So when we do the inspections, what we go ahead and do is we put that on our calendar, and we will actually do a cleaning process of cleaning these trusses out. So this was the before, and here's us actually doing the work. I can tell you that we just did this again. We did this in August. We just did this again in August, and I was actually out there as well, and I actually did this. That's my head there that you see in the picture actually doing that. This time it was much cleaner. It was not such a job for us to have to do this, and that was just because we took the time to do it the first time. One of the things that we've learned is that sweeping, cleaning the deck bridges, that really helps you prevent that undue wear and tear on those surfaces. It helps with that retention of the moisture, allowing all the parts of the bridge to work properly. For example, the drains. We do wash our bridges regularly now. The guys just finished their annual wash, if you will. We have a hydrovac, a high pressure washer, and we go out every season now, and we map out what we're gonna start with, and then we just work our way through, you know, depending upon weather, depending upon those things. But that's something that we do annually now. We started that in 2018. Another thing that we have noticed a lot of is we have a lot of damage on our guardrails, unfortunately. I hate to say it, but a lot of times we're very rural, and we have a lot of tractors, we have a lot of farm equipment, we have people that run off the road are not paying attention. And as you can see right here, here's a picture of some damaged guardrail. Before, we would normally contract this out, but what we have tried to start doing is I've tried to make my guys a little more responsible and tried to give them some of those opportunities to prove themselves, if you will. And believe it or not, they've done an excellent job. I can't brag on them enough. That was the before. As you can see, this is the after. This was on one of our bridges, and they actually did this. They all on their own. They took one of the flared ends, they took one of the segments, and they put it together, and they were able to fix that. So very, very low cost for us. You have to be able to inspect some of this guardrail. A lot of times the guardrail will definitely, what we found is a lot of the bolts come loose, and when they come loose, just because of the regular vibration, then those need to, sometimes they slip off, sometimes I think they're taken off, they're stolen, but they need to be replaced or tightened. So you need to be able to do that. In 2018, we actually started the deck sealing program. We had that first demonstration. From that demonstration, we bought 2 barrels of product. We went through those 2 barrels. And this year, I can tell you that we went from 2 barrels to 4 barrels. We started at 2, and we doubled our usage already. We are trying to work it out where we do our entire inventory of bridges that are concrete, that have concrete deck and don't have an overlay on them. As far as an asphalt, we do have a few that have an asphalt overlay on them. Trying to do those in a 5 to 6 year cycle. We'd like to get them in 5 years, but sometimes money doesn't allow you to do that. Now, I can tell you that this is something that's very, very, very inexpensive. We've got 2 men, and they're doing the actual work. You may need a flagger or 2. We're a little, as Pat had said, we're very lucky. Some of our roads are more rural, so we don't get a lot of traffic on them. And the 2 men can actually, one can do the flagging and one can do the actual sealing. So that's something that we've been very, very lucky. And we actually finished our sealing for this year, and we did finish it with 4 barrels. So next year we'll start fresh again. That's just, this is something, this slide is just telling you actually what we were trying to do, what I just told you that we were doing. We actually inherited a few more bridges. So we did have 77. We now have 87. And so we were doing a 6 year cycle, 10 bridges a year, approximately 631 linear feet with a 25-foot average deck width for us. Vegetation. I can't talk about this enough. We joke because we say that the Toms, their favorite color is brown, and it's very true. One of the things that can happen with bridges, especially in your local areas, is the canopy can come and develop, or you don't take care of your guardrail, and then you have a lot of problems and issues, because that will help you retain that water, that moisture, which are those things that we don't want. So if you've seen the before and here's the after, if you can see how nice and trimmed up that is and how much better that looks. Another thing that we have is what I was talking about, is the canopy. As you can see, some of your trees and your leaves are actually going over the road. When the leaves fall, they just sit there on the road if you don't sweep those off. So they actually don't help your bridge deck at all. This was a during, we joke because we've had the trees there so long that they've grown into the poles. This is the after. You can see it's much more open. They got rid of a lot of that canopy, and that's really helped. We want to continue with that. We've been working with our brush crew, our sign crews. We're trying to get a county-wide herbicide program, and we include all of that vegetation, the brush. We have identified our worst bridges. If we need to, we will get an outside contractor, because we currently don't have a bucket truck, but we just do that as needed. Another thing that we keep talking about is erosion control. This is actually one of our bridges, and we have this everywhere. The riprap has just been taken away. It's been washed away. My crew actually, they've laid hundreds of ton of riprap, and a lot of it has been honestly placed there by hand, just because the machines that we have, there wasn't an ability with the way the bridges were and the way the roads were to get that to the places that they needed. We actually had built some of our own cages, had put some of those in so that we could have the walls built up and so that we could take care of that for ourselves. This was an effort that was done by all of us, that the crews, the district crews helped along with the bridge crew, the brush crew, the sign crew. So this took a little more manpower, but it is doable. There were 4 bridges that were in need of major, they had a major erosion control issues. We worked with the district foremen and we completed this. And like I said, we got those up. They were, it was really nice to see that and to see it done and checked off of the list. When we talk about preservation and what you're looking for, what should you be looking for? What does your future look like? Well, you should see bridges. It's real simple. You should see bridges. We talk about the difference between being reactive and proactive. One of the things that we have done, and Travis actually mentioned this, he was talking about all of those lovely forms that would help you, that bridge inspection, bridge cleaning. And what I like to say is I'm a former trainer, so I'm saying steal with pride. And one of the things that we stole with pride is we created one of our own bridge inspection forms. And actually I have one right here as well. And I know we pay someone to go out and look at our bridges every 2 years, but I have 2 gentlemen that will go out and they will look at their bridges because they have ownership of those bridges, and they will tell me if their wing walls are good, fair, or poor. They will tell me if their deck is in good, fair, or poor condition. They will tell me if the seals are good, fair, or poor. They will do that and then give us an overall rating and then list any problems or concerns that they have, and we'll have a conversation about that. And I think that that has helped us a great deal as well, because we're using our resources as far as the bridge inspection with our own bridge inspection. We've had a lot of major projects, and that's another thing that Travis was talking about. You have to prioritize, right? Are you going to do the simple things that you can take care of, or are you going to try to do some of those more major things? And if you're going to do them, how are you going to do them? We're lucky we've done a little bit. We've been able to have a little bit of our own in our own backyard, if you will, and have the funding available so we could do some of those projects. Here's just a few. I'll go through those really quickly for you. That was one of them, Tandy. So my question for you as an owner, because you're the owner, what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose reactive and wait until your car is completely empty, as Travis said, or are you going to be proactive, and when you see that it's in the middle, the fuel gauge is in the middle, that you're going to go ahead and get gas? We're trying diligently with the help of people like LTAP, with the help of people like our vendors and our contractors, to be more proactive, and we challenge you to do the same as well. What questions do you have for me?
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.